Hey everybody, welcome to Vespers. We're so glad that you have joined us again this evening. Another chance for us to be together. So tonight we're going to begin and light this candle. We celebrate the presence of Christ in us, among us, and beyond us. And we also remember all those around us this evening who are suffering. So thanks so much for being here this evening so that we can have a chance to catch up once again to see how folks are doing and to remember that we're not alone. This morning, I turned on my meditation app, which feels a little strange to have meditation in an app, but anyway, it helps me to kind of focus and move along, and the kind of guided meditation today was talking about thinking about other people in your practice. That it's not just for you, but remembering that others have similar problems. Others may be experiencing some of the same negative thoughts or emotions that you have. And whenever we can offer ourselves a little kindness, it can help us to cultivate kindness toward others as well. And probably we can accept our own shortcomings, make amends, make changes in our own lives when we come from a place that recognizes our own belovedness, that we too are already accepted just as we are. And then maybe that helps us to see a little more of the beloved in those around us, and to accept others as they are as well. So in this time when we find ourselves with so many different kinds of stresses in our lives, so many much needed conversations that are happening now in our country and in our world, we can also take some time to be kind to ourselves, to relax, and to give ourselves some space to think and to be present with the one who loves us so much. One of the things that reminds me about that and that helps me to see this is really our congregation. So many of you show so much love and care and acceptance for me and for one another that I get to see over and over and over again, what it's like to be welcomed, to be loved, just as we are. So thank you so much for being here this evening. Tonight we have a great opportunity to talk with Carol and Bill Martin. They've been at Central since the 80s. Carol serves as our Child Care Committee chair, and she's done that for years now, and they've had lots of work to do with that recently. Bill not only sings in the choir, but is the chair of our Finance Committee, and so we're going to talk with them and see how they're doing. So let's go and say hi to them. So, hey, Carol and Bill, how are you doing?
We're doing great.
Yeah, we're doing well. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah.
Oh, good. It's good to see you all. I so appreciate it. I mean, it's really good to see you all. It's so good to see your faces. I feel like I haven't seen you forever, and I really appreciate you all taking time out to do this.
We've seen you on Sunday mornings and enjoyed your musical contributions and your other participation in the morning services, but we kind of forget that nobody has seen us in quite a while.
Oh well, it's so good to see your faces and to get to talk to you some and see how things are going. So lately, in general, how have things been going with you all? Has it been busier? Has it been? Have you had a little more downtime? What's been going on?
I would say we've been productive. We require a certain level of productivity, but also sprinkling in a little downtime in there. So we've been productive. I retired exactly a year ago. Exactly 1 year ago was my last day before I retired.
It's been a year now?
Been a year. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It doesn't seem like that long. It doesn't seem like that long for me, Bill.
Yes. Well, the time has flown. So I had sort of adjusted to being around the house. I didn't get furloughed or anything like that, like a lot of other people did. So I was already accustomed to being around the house. And it was a little bit of a role reversal. Carol, you got furloughed when?
April 26th.
Carol got furloughed April 26th at her job in a UK med center clinic. So there was sort of a role reversal there. Typically, say when the husband retires, the wife's already at home, the husband is invading her space. But when Carol got furloughed, she invaded my comfort zone. You know, I was used to having the house to myself all day long, so I had some adjusting to do to get used to to get used to having her around. But I'm almost used to it now.
Oh, well, that's great though. I'm glad that y'all get to spend some time together.
We've had some projects. We cleaned out the garage. We cleaned out the basement. One of our bedrooms that's been vacated by our adult children. One of those bedrooms Carol painted last week. I helped to move things around, but she doesn't allow me to do any fine touch kinds of painting. So I just provide the manual labor, move the furniture around for her. So you know, like I said, we've been productive, and from time to time, our guilty pleasure during this downtime has been to from time to time binge watch episodes of King of Queens. You know,
yeah.
The TV show from about 20 years ago. It seems a lot more entertaining and funny these days than it did back when it was first out. So that's been our guilty pleasure.
Oh, well, that's great. So yeah, it's funny how those old shows kind of bring back some nostalgia and some comfort in this time too. We've been rewatching shows from long ago that make us feel a little better and happy in the midst of all this.
Yes. We've adjusted, notwithstanding Carol being furloughed. She'll go back to work in about a week. But the new normal seems almost normal for us now. The second week of March, very early in the advent of the COVID presence and the pandemic, Will, our son, and Kristen, his wife, in the same week came down with the virus. Came down with the COVID virus. I would say they were probably in the first 10 people in Lexington to be diagnosed with it. And we immediately then were quarantined because we had been with Will just a few days before he was diagnosed. We were quarantined for 2 weeks, so we were dependent on friends and neighbors to bring us milk and bread and staples and things like that. So that made the adjustment. Once I could even go to the grocery store, we could go to the grocery store after being quarantined. That was relative freedom. So I think going into quarantine immediately during when all the restrictions came around made it easier for us once we came out of the 2-week quarantine. Made it easier for us because we could do some things even then that we weren't able to do for those first 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. I was gonna ask about Will and see how they were doing. So they all everybody's okay now and everything.
They're doing fine. They recovered. Will was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. 5 days, not on a ventilator, but he did have trouble breathing, and he was in the hospital for 5 days. Kristen was there with him. Because she had the disease as well, but not as severe as Will had it. But once he came out of the hospital, took a few more days to recover, and they recovered fairly quickly after that. So they've been back up to full speed for a couple of months now.
Yeah, well, that's good. That has to be so scary, especially at the very beginning of all this, when we knew even less than we know now.
Well, it was because we had to quarantine. We couldn't go and knowingly expose ourselves to it. We were limited in what kind of help we could provide. But they were troopers. They came through it okay.
Yeah, well, so grateful.
Yes,
that
we are.
That they're doing great. So
we are.
So Carol, I mean, have things been going okay since you've been furloughed? What have you been finding to do?
To do well, besides house projects,
Yeah.
seeing things that need to be done that I've always, while I'm working, saying, oh, I'll get to that, and then something else comes up. Have had put in a lot of time with the child care committee, working on reopening our child care center on July 13th. It's when it's slated to reopen. And that has taken a lot of time. So in a way, it's been a blessing that I've been furloughed, because if I was at work trying to do this during the day or even at night, it would not have gone as smoothly as it has. So that has been a blessing that I've been able, along with the great committee that I have, to support Jess Osborne, the director, and then our business administrator, Beth Freeman, in moving forward to opening.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all your work on that, because that just, just thinking about that, like when you all are beginning work on this, like months ago, at the beginning, how it looked like an insurmountable task. So many things to consider. And I can't imagine like sitting with that,
Yes, and each day you think there is something that's insurmountable, and then you think, you step back, you reflect, and you spout off to your spouse, and then you calm down, and then you can get it into a perspective to present to the committee. And thank goodness that we have Zoom capabilities instead of doing everything by email or by phone call. So I'm grateful for the technology advancements compared to when our children were at the daycare at the church. We didn't have all this. It would have been even more of a nightmare in communicating with families and with each other to see what's the best path to take.
Yeah, well, thank you for all that, and all the the many decisions that have to be made about how to keep folks safe, and trying to care for the workers, having to balance caring for those childcare workers that we have and staff alongside of the families. That that's a lot to consider. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, but Bill is excited for me going back to work on July 6th. Yes, because I have so many more house projects to do and walls to take down. He doesn't want me to watch any home improvement show. So
getting ideas.
Don't
want her getting any ideas. Well, the other home improvement stuff she's been doing, though, is Will and Kristen are expecting their first child, our first grandchild, in September. So they're getting the baby's room ready, and Carol's done painting over there and some other things over there, shortening the drapes and hemming the drapes and doing things like that. So she's been a lot more productive than I have.
Oh, that's awesome though. So it's beautiful to hear about new beginnings and life continuing even in the midst of all this.
Exactly. Some normalcy.
Yeah. Such a joy. That's exciting. So in September, you say?
Late September.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. Yeah. Well, is there I guess we talked a lot about what you all have been doing right now. Is there is there anything else that you've been doing that's kind of helped keep you sane in the midst of this, or any bright spots in the midst of?
I would say there are lots of bright spots. Yes. I'd say more bright spots than not for us in the midst of this. Certainly, we're very much aware of the impact on friends of the virus, whether it's financial impact or in business related or health impact on those things. So, but we've just been very careful. We wear a mask when we're supposed to. We distance ourselves appropriately and do all those things. We've been very thankful for our other two children that they've been safe. Our son Ben is in Little Rock, Arkansas, and working remotely in a new job that's actually with a company in Chicago. But since he got the job, he's not been able to move to Chicago yet. So he has stayed safe in Little Rock. And then Lizzie, our daughter, is with her husband Tom in Western Australia. Did I say that?
Fiance.
Okay. In Western Australia. So they're out in the boondocks.
Yeah.
And they've been especially safe there. So we've been fortunate with them being safe also. But otherwise, in addition to the house projects and things like that, we kind of have slipped into a routine, or at least I've slipped into a very comfortable routine.
Yeah.
Like the second day I was retired, I slipped into a routine that I continue to find very comfortable and accommodating.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've been doing some consulting work, mostly in the way of editing and writing and so forth, or helping other people who have written things in providing a second pair of eyes. And I'm a compulsive editor. Just by nature, I'm a compulsive editor. Anything I read, I edit as I go. So, been doing some of those things, and I spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a day, usually on some sort of editing project like that I'm doing for someone else.
Oh, that's great. Now, is this in a particular field that you're working in, or is this just for all kinds of different writing?
It's primarily for my successor in my old job, doing some things for him on some big publication projects for him, and just again providing a second pair of eyes. One of the things that I always found when I was working, I was in a job that had a rather fast pace, and the most difficult thing I ever had to do was make the transition from the very fast pace of email and phones and dealing with problems and issues that people would bring me, and stop and put that aside and change the pace and be very patient about and methodical about reading a draft of a publication that I wanted to be perfect. So if I can help my successor deal with that kind of challenge, then that's a big help to him, and it's something that I enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that really is, and that's something that I find very difficult too. You switch the focus and the pace from one to another, and you really, if you're going to do some writing or editing, you've got to be able to block off that other stuff for a little while to find some real focus.
Yeah. Most of life is about transition.
These are wise words, Bill. I'm going to take this to heart. I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to because that's one of those things that I believe it sounds true when you say it, and I'm trying to tease it out. It's like that feels right.
Getting up in the morning, going from whatever your morning routine is to work, and switching it off at the end of the day and transitioning to something else. And one of them that I've always struggled with is when traveling, that last day or two of a trip when you're away and you're doing something that you really, really enjoy. You're in a really nice place, and you've got the specter of a return to work and the routine coming up. That starts weighing on me about 48 hours before I've actually got to return. So that's another part of that transition. I've always been jealous of people who can enjoy a vacation right up until the very last minute, before they're back home and got to go back into their normal routine. So that's why I say life is about transition.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, re-entry from vacation is hard. Entry's hard. I find a hard time getting into it and then getting out of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, one of the things that we've been trying to do that I totally just forgot about in the midst of this is talk a little bit about how you got to Central and to give people a little bit of background information. I think we got to a lot of it, but can you tell us how long you've been at Central and kind of what brought you here?
You can go ahead. You've been doing the talking, so go right ahead.
We got engaged in late summer of 1982 and decided and set a wedding date ultimately in May of 1983. And neither of us was a member of a church, going to any particular church regularly when we got engaged. And we agreed that we wanted to be married in a church that was going to be our church that we were going to attend. So we started looking around for a church. Carol was raised in Westchester County, New York, in an Episcopal church, and I grew up in a Baptist church in small town Mississippi. So when we discussed and agreed, I told her that we could get married in any church in Lexington as long as it was Baptist. So over the course of several weeks or maybe a couple of months, we visited 4 different Baptist churches in Lexington, and it tells you something about Central, and people who have been members for sort of any period of time, who've had any experience with our church, would understand this, that an Episcopalian from New York and a Baptist from Mississippi could go to Central Baptist Church together and find it accommodating for both of us. So I think that says a lot about Central, and that was 1983. So Central has been like that for a long, long time, and that little anecdote, I think, kind of highlights one of the very special things about the church.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. I was I found a home with the Episcopalians for a little while in between Baptist churches, and just found it to be just a refreshing and beautiful place to be. And
Yes.
so yeah, it really does seem like there's a good connection there, and I don't know of another Baptist church that if you're looking for that kind of balance that you could find anywhere around here. So
Yeah. But Carol was very accommodating for me. I think, Baptist,
You did go to some.
there's an arrogance about Baptist anyway. So I was less inclined to change or move from my experience than she was. So she was very nice about that.
But you did go see a couple of Episcopal churches. This just didn't click.
Right.
yeah.
So we've been in a part of Central since early 1983.
Anything from that time at Central, looking back?
I think about Central as a touchstone for me, or a place to come back to provide stability. There have been lots of changes in our world, as you would expect. That's been 37 years that we've been a part of it. There've been a lot of changes in our world since then, and I think for me, Central has been not a place that has never changed yet, because I like to think that I can change when change is necessary. But as things have happened in our society, you even take the current situation with the COVID virus, with the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that, all the political turmoil that we're seeing over the last number of years. Central has just been a place where I felt I could come and get centered again, and it has helped me to have what I think is a healthy perspective on all of those things that are happening in society. Not a place to escape from the world, but a place to understand the world better, and to reconnect with through the sermons and all the other relationships there at the church, and just what I feel like our church stands for. It's been a place where I've probably been the one area where I've grown more in the last 37 years than in any other place, other than becoming a father and being a husband, and that takes adjusting and growing as well. But Central's been a part of that too.
Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. That really is so often. I think earlier on, back in seminary, when I was thinking about church and the way things work, and especially in worship, it seemed like often there was a tendency for that kind of, I don't really want to call it escapism, but in some sense it was focused on an otherworldly experience, and wasn't as focused on the really incarnational living in the midst of this world with the life of Christ. And so that's beautiful. That really is. That really explains well, I think, what I feel at Central.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, so Bill, I think you also have some thoughts for us, maybe a psalm or a song, a poem. Are you going to sing?
I won't. I will not sing. I will not sing. But one of the things that I've done off and on since retirement, and more so in recent months, is I've been on Facebook a lot more. I have like 900 Facebook friends, but I accumulated them. I accumulated them when I was working, and never really participated. It was just kind of, if somebody, I was on Facebook, so if somebody asked to join as a friend and who was a member of the organization that I worked for, then I felt obligated to accept them, to accept them as. But I never communicated, in that community, so to speak. But I've been on Facebook and off. I go and I kind of immerse myself in it, and then I have to leave after a couple of weeks, lest I start to make a lot of political statements and lose a lot of friends. But anyway,
Yeah.
One of the things that I picked up there in some exchanges about music, and particularly popular music, somebody pointed out to me an album by a singer named Iris DeMent, and she's sort of folk and country, maybe as much folk as country, but a writer and a singer. And this is from an album from 1994. It's a song called Shores of Jordan. I love traditional music, traditional hymns, and I find that hymns with place names in them always seem to have great imagery and emotion and music. So if in the hymn it mentions Canaan or Jordan or Zion or Pisgah, then it's probably a really good hymn, but I like it. So anyway, Iris DeMent wrote this song called Shores of Jordan. And I'll read the chorus to you, and then I'm going to read the last verse, which is a really meaningful verse to me. But it kind of speaks to how you deal with life, and the chorus is, I'm going to let my feet go dancing to my very favorite songs, because I know my time for leaving's bound to come before too long. And there ain't no way of me knowing how tomorrow's going to be. So I just dance the shores of Jordan till the angels carry me. And then the last verse of the song, I saw a weary traveler heading down a dusty road, and I said, friend, please may I help you? It seems you haul a heavy load. But he said, though my burden's heavy, in my heart I'm traveling light, so I can cross old River Jordan when I'm called to the other side.
Oh, that is great. Oh my
I
gosh.
thought it was amazing, and I couldn't believe that it was at least 25 years old, and I had never heard it before 2020. So it's a beautiful song. I would suggest anybody who hears this find The Shores of Jordan by Iris DeMent. It's a beautiful tune as well. I won't sing it, but because I don't know it well enough. But it's got some beautiful imagery in there as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna, right after we get done with this, I'm gonna go look it up and track it down, because that's right up my alley. I think you're right about the place names too. I like that. Anything with a place name.
It's usually traditional for one thing, and usually has some great imagery.
Yeah.
In it. Yeah. And then just a scripture that I thought would be that I would like to share. This is Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From whence does my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade upon your right hand. The sun shall not smite you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. That's a wonderful promise.
It really is. Thank you so much. And thank you, Carol and Bill, so much for taking this time out to share with us. It's been so great to get to hang out with you and check up and see how things are going. And I hope you get to enjoy your last week or two of furlough.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to keep her from starting a new project on Saturday night or something like that.
Well, you can always just start the list now to hand off to Bill whenever you go back.
Yes, that is going to be the key.
No, here's what she's learned. I'm not highly skilled, but I work really well under close supervision.
As long as somebody's watching. Yeah, I have to do projects where I can't wander. I'm much better at doing dishes than other things because I'm like in one place. Otherwise, I'll wander and I'll find something else and I won't get anything done, but I'll do lots of little things around. So,
right. Yeah, exactly.
So I need to be contained. Well, thank you all so much. It's been awesome talking with you.
You're welcome, Aaron.
And just everyone keep safe and enjoy the ones that you're with and keep reaching out.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for those words. Well, we'll hopefully we'll see you again before too long.
Okay.
Hope so.
All
Thanks,
right.
Aaron.
Thanks,
Okay.
Aaron. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much, Carol and Bill. It was a joy to get to talk with you, to get to hear how things are going with you again. Thank you so much for taking time out to share with us again. And thank you all for joining us too online on the chat. I've noticed a few things that have come through. We want to remember, especially to pray for Daylene, for your family, for Josie and Laren and Presley. We will keep them in our prayers, and also wish another happy birthday to Mary Jo, who I see is on the chat as well. We're so happy to get to celebrate with you. And thank you all for being here. Let's sing a song together before we go. Whenever I can't think of any other song to sing, I usually just sing "This Little Light of Mine," because it's a great thing to remember that God has given us the opportunity and the chance to be a part of God's good work in this world, God's love and God's peace. So let's sing together "This Little Light of Mine." This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back again on Sunday right here on our YouTube channel, where we will have the opportunity to get to hear from some of our children as they read scripture and lead us in a call to worship and prayers this Sunday at a church at our regular time. We hope that you'll join us again for that. In the meantime, if you have prayer requests, you can always send those to pray@lexcentral.com, and you can also offer your prayer requests on our Facebook group as well. There's always a chance there for you to be able to share what's going on so that we can pray with you and join in with you. And if there's something that you need, if you find yourself in need of anything this time, please make sure to get in touch with us at church. You can email us at info@lexcentral.com, and we are going to do our best to be family to one another, to care for each other in this time, so that we can all make it through this together. So thank you for being here this evening, and peace to you tonight. See you Sunday.